Sal, I'm counting the weeks till T-ball starts because I might want to think about spring sports, given that it snows every day right now.
Gosh.
It's been relentless. Good morning. How are you
I
today?
mean, I'm good. I just saw, and I was watching the weather in the morning, and I saw a guy, Pat Hammer, say that we could set a record low high, if that makes a sense. Makes
Okay.
sense over the next day, like today or tomorrow. Like the 8 degrees could be the high temperature, which would be the lowest high temperature for the day, something like that, which
Right.
is kind of wild, right?
Yeah, it's
I mean, it's not
tomorrow.
just the snow. Yeah, it's the cold. I'm actually just I don't know. I go on X in the morning and I see the trending topics and William McKinley is trending and I'm like, why is
Uh-oh.
today is his birthday? I did not
Oh,
realize that.
happy
William
birthday.
McKinley. Today would be William McKinley's birthday. I did not know that. Obviously he was assassinated here in Buffalo, right? We know that during the World's Fair in 1901. But yeah, he was born on this date in I guess I don't even know what 1843. There you go.
All right. One thing I do in my weather app, and I don't know if anybody else
Yeah.
would do this, I now, you know how you can cycle through locations and see what the weather is in different locations? I
Yes.
have, I swear to you, I have added Vostok Station, Antarctica to make me feel better about how cold it is here. So,
Come on. That's funny.
yeah, it's minus 32 there right now. So, it could be worse as we get through this.
Do you
this,
ever go to if you, I think the app is the same way, but I know that on the website if you go to weather.com, right? Like the actual website, I think the app is the same. I the headlines of the stories are the most amazingly drama filled incredible it's TMZ for weather, but it's like the things to scare you the most in the world. It's incredible.
The current headline at what the Weather Channel's website is: Storm will intensify into bomb cyclone.
Yes,
There
that's
we
what
go.
I mean.
We're getting a
it's
bomb
it's
cyclone.
incredible. Yes, there you
Snow,
go.
coastal flooding. That's off the East Coast. Anyway. All right, Sal. So we got a press conference today. We're going to have
Yeah.
Brandon Beane and Joe Brady, the Bills' new head coach, speak. It'll be the introductory press conference. And, before we get to maybe what to expect, I find the defensive coordinator search to be interesting. And this is not a model that's unusual, right? Where a coach that is a young offensive mind might go out and just kind of outsource is the wrong word, but they might really reach out to someone that that Joe Brady does not have a relationship with and just say, like, Raheem Morris, Jim Leonhard, whoever. Maybe there are some connections somewhere. But, like, would you like to run my defense, right? This is a bit of a mercenary spot. Like, come here. We need a good defense. We like what you've done before. And it's somebody maybe with head coaching experience also. It's like someone like Jim Schwartz.
Yeah, and I really find it. Now we haven't heard any necessary connections with Schwartz yet, right?
No, just an indication that the Bills likely would have him high on the list.
100%, and I agree with that. Like they should, partly because he's also still under contract, right? You clearly can't do anything about that anyway. So,
Right.
But I do. The reason why I bring that up is the ones that we have heard about, especially Leonard and Raheem Morris, and even Jim Schwartz. When you put them all together, there's a common theme here. And the theme is a much more aggressive style than what the Buffalo Bills have had under Sean McDermott and Bobby Babich. Now, they put up some really good numbers, obviously, regular season. We know some of the playoff failures, but what has been the common theme in the playoff failures, which is not getting to the quarterback, right? Not getting to Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow, whatever it may be. I just find it interesting that immediately upon hire, we start hearing these names that you can say, okay, wait a minute. That is a different defense. That is a departure. I mean, look what happened with the Bills in Atlanta, Raheem Morris. We know that defense likes to get after the quarterback. They like to have simulated pressures, lots of pressures, actually, different ways. They blitz a lot. Vance Joseph is the coach in Denver, but under him is Jim Leonhard. What have they done the last 2 years? Only set records as far as sacking the quarterback, getting to the quarterback. And, I think it's interesting that Joe Brady, he's had to prepare for that Denver Broncos defense twice now in playoff games over the last 2 years. I don't think that he reaches out to somebody on that staff if he doesn't respect what he's had to prepare against, right?
Yep.
So I think that. Even Jim Schwartz, we know, he was in Buffalo, attacking style defense, a name if you want to associate in Buffalo. And I think that's important, Jeremy. And the reason why is when Joe Brady was hired, we also heard the talking points coming from the national media that Joe Brady understands how is it phrased, maybe how personnel and coaching can,
The relationship between coaching and personnel.
Right. And then I wonder if that's an indication that, hey, Brandon Beane feels, and I don't know this, I'm not speaking for him, just guessing here. Maybe Brandon Beane feels, look, I've poured a lot of resources into the front seven because I want to have this type of defense that these guys in the front seven I'm giving the roster can do these sorts of things, but that's not the style of defense that we've had here. And the style of defense they've had is keep everything in front of you, no explosive plays, bend, don't break, live to fight another day. And that can work very well. We know that. But maybe it's an indication that Brandon Beane and Joe Brady now on the same page going, wait a minute. We need to start going towards this other model, this more aggressive model. That's why I've brought in and drafted guys in the first and second round and signed a Joey Bosa and signed a Von Miller and signed a Michael Hoyt, because that's the style that fits more of what we're trying to build here.
Yeah, as soon as the defensive coordinator, whoever it is, gets the job, we'll wonder, are there any players that don't fit that might be traded or released because of that? What kind of draft capital or free agents they'll have to bring in. And Sal, like with this move towards a new defensive coordinator, because Bobby Babich is going to Green Bay, I feel like, and you'd be one to speak to this, and you talk about this all the time on your show, the instant reaction to Joe Brady brings with it doubt and some fear that they're just going to cut out Sean McDermott and keep a lot of the same stuff. And then, like, when the Babich domino fell, like Babich is going to Green Bay, I thought, like, all right, they are forced now to have a new defensive coordinator. And as long as it's not someone elevated from within, whether it's throwing a big contract at Jim Leonhard, who a lot of people like, or if it's Jim Schwartz, who has had success here before, like, I feel like that move will help fans accept what has happened here with this big change in approach.
Agreed. I think a lot of the reception of Joe Brady was, wait a minute, what are we doing if you're going to move on from Sean McDermott, who has had a lot of success here, for not getting to the Super Bowl? Why are you elevating the guy who was a part of that team that didn't get to the Super Bowl? And because people are just mad because, he threw tunnel screens on 3rd down and 8 sometimes, right? I mean, it's all baked in there. We all know that. So it feels like a same old, or just spinning wheels, so to speak. I think you need something from a fan base perspective. I think you need something a little different. You need something to show and to say, look, he's in a different position. He might be a guy that we've had here, but look at the things around that are changing. That's the indication that things are going to change. Because otherwise, I think Bills fans are saying, what's really going to change? You changed out the head coach, but what really is changing here? Now we do know it's got to be something on the defensive side. And like you said, it feels like it has to be someone brand new, a new fresh face, because if suddenly Al Holcomb becomes the defensive coordinator, right, who's the linebackers coach, I think the reaction is going to be very similar, which is, are you kidding me? Why are you keeping everything the same and only replacing the head coach by name, basically?
Yeah, that might only happen if they lose out. Like, they could lose out on candidates. Right. Like, for instance, Jim Leonhard was going to interview with the Chargers, but they hired somebody, so that job is off the table. Right. They hired a guy out of college, so Jim Leonhard is still a possibility, and maybe they strike out. Who knows?
And maybe they hired somebody because they know Jim Leonhard might go to Buffalo. We don't know that.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, that it's very possible that, because the timing seems really interesting, right? Which is, we hear and we get the report that Jim Leonhard is a top candidate in Buffalo to join Joe Brady's staff. A couple days pass and it's, Jim Leonhard's going to interview with the Chargers, and literally the next day, he's not taking the Chargers job.
Right.
Like, they're going in a different direction. Is that an indication that he walked into the Chargers job and he's like, look, I'll listen to what you have to say, but I'm thinking real hard about Buffalo here.
Yeah, maybe. Could be that. Could be that Dallas. I've heard Dallas is after him as well.
True.
We'll see. Sal, there are other positions they'll have to fill. Wide receivers coach is a big one. Special teams coach. Chris Tabor, of course, left. He had a pretty good special teams unit. People were pretty happy with how it worked this season. They were great on the kickoff return coverage, and it's a big loss. Like, I feel like special teams was a boost for them this season, and they'll have to replace that. And maybe they go and find somebody that, I don't know, elevate from within. Maybe they look elsewhere. Like, these coaches, I almost feel like we should look at it like, I don't know, in Sean McDermott's first year as the coach, did he have a bunch of guys that came in for a year? You're kind of just bridging your way through the first year of being a coach. Because,
you're talking about coaches, right?
Yeah, coaches.
Yeah.
Because part of what I'm thinking about here is, like, we are living in the same Bills reality while it is Joe Brady's first year as the coach. So he kind of starts to chart a path while also, like, trying to get across that get over the hump, as they would say, in a single season. And there's kind of like two different targets to shoot for there.
Do you remember? Do you remember some of Sean McDermott's staff? Do you remember who his first offensive coordinator was? I'm sure you do.
Rick Dennison,
right? Remember, he hired Leslie Frazier almost immediately, right, to join his staff. Sean McDermott, when he came in 2017, like most first-time head coaches, he's not going to have a lot of guys ready to go from other staffs or a staff he was already on. A lot of them are already spoken for. They have contracts, and this happens everywhere. This is going to happen with Joe Brady. The difference is Joe Brady has people here already, obviously, he's been working with. So Sean brings in Rick Dennison. His quarterbacks coach was David Culley, who'd been around a long time.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. You remember his offensive line coach was Juan Castillo, who actually was a defensive coordinator and then coached offensive line, and they worked together in Philly. Sean had to kind of piece together the best staff he could, and what he did, and I thought was very smart by Sean McDermott in 2017. He surrounded himself with a very veteran staff. These guys were around a long time. You're talking about, I think at one point, I think I did the numbers and the math on this, Jeremy. I think the Bills had the most experienced assistant coach added up in total of years, you know what I mean, in the NFL around when Sean, and I think that's a great thing for a young head coach. Now, Joe Brady can do the same thing. The difference is he actually already has a staff here and he's insulated with guys that he knows. So he's not in the same spot as Sean McDermott, but I would say it's going to be challenging for him in year one to just get the guys he wants. Some are already on teams. They have contracts. This is a job that he got very late in the process. Even if there is a guy that he might have identified 3 weeks ago, maybe that person's already spoken for. So you're right. I think bridging the gap is a good way to put it. It doesn't mean that he can't hire people now that are with him for long term if he has this job for many years. Sean did that. Kelly Skipper was with Sean since 2017. Mm-hmm. Rob Boris has been with Sean since 2017. These are people that are still on staff that we don't know yet what their futures are. So yes, to your point of who you're bringing in, special teams coordinator is going to be a big one. It's something that I think that, this team a couple of years ago really struggled with. They went out and got Chris Tabor. He definitely stabilized the special teams. Now he's down in Miami. Let's see where that goes. And then offensive coordinator, which here right now is not as big of a deal because it's not the play caller. But it's still somebody who is attaching himself to Joe Brady and the offense and doing all the things Monday through Saturday that, an offensive coordinator needs to do so Joe Brady can be the head coach of the team. Is that Ronald Curry? He's been here as the quarterback's coach who was with Joe in New Orleans. Is that somebody outside the building he brings in that he has a relationship with? That's going to be a key hire too.
Yeah. 803-0550. Sal, is there anything you're hoping to hear today?
Hoping to hear. I like what you said earlier about, if you can, hey, we're gonna really support and bring in people that can really elevate this offense, take it to the next level, something like that. I don't know if they need to say that because Brandon Beane, as you know, can point to scoreboard and say, look, we still had the fourth highest scoring offense in the NFL last year.
Yep.
And, Joe Brady did a really good job with that. No, I don't know if there's anything I'm hoping to hear. Joe is just, I'm really interested. It's not a hope. It's really more of an intriguing, interesting thing for me. Joe Brady is really cut from the I'm an assistant coach, I don't give you anything type of cloth. You know what I mean? Like when he's in front of the media, he's just he's a good guy to talk to. He's high energy, he's positivity. I love all that about him. But he just doesn't give you anything. He's an assistant coach. He's not going to rock the boat. He's not going to give you quotes that are going to be incendiary or anything like that. Not that he should, but when you talk to him, it's very, I got to do a better job than that. I got to put my guys in better position, very accountable, saying all the right things. Now he's the leader. Now he's the head coach, right? Does he have a little bit of a different type of tone to him when he talks to the media?
Right. Be interesting. All right, Sal, we'll be listening. You're down there today, a noon press conference. We'll carry it live and look forward to seeing what happens.
All right, you got it, buddy.
Thanks, Sal. Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline.